Purity. August 7, 2014. Beloved ones, let us have discourse on the quality of love known as purity. Purity is the light of one's soul expressing its divinity through the body and the mind. Purity follows the dictates of inner guidance without allowing thoughts of the carnal mind. Purity is the ability to choose between right and wrong actions as one follows the dictates of one's divine nature of one's own accord. Purity is the only thing that can sustain one's divinity. Purity is tremendous power. Each individual can accomplish anything with purity. If there is no purity, there is no certainty, there is no spontaneity, and there is no constant flow of divinity inside one's being. When an individual is pure, they gain everything. If they can retain their purity, they will never lose anything worth keeping. They allow the Holy Spirit within them by dwelling about things that please the Spirit. The more they foster and develop divine purity within them, the more their inner strength becomes greater. They do not allow themselves to be conformed to the ways of this world, but are transformed by the renewing of their mind when outer world thoughts assail them. They know that the will of God is all that which is good, acceptable, and perfect. They have purity in their thoughts, in all that they say and do, all that they feel and all that they are. Purity must be established in each individual's entire existence. Their body should also have the purity of the soul. For that, cleanliness and good health are required. Purity is something each individual must have inside them all the time. It is not something they can get from somewhere else when they need it. Purity is a quality within that must be lived as an integral state of divine consciousness. Like a divine magnet, the quality of purity pulls all the divine qualities into each person's state of being. Purity begins in the heart, with the intention to follow the will of God, which is the higher will. Purity of heart is one of the qualities that a person cultivates in order to gain inner peace in their daily lives, and for spiritual consciousness to expand within. Purity of heart is to be innocent, like a child. It is to emulate the loving character of angels and of God in simplicity, in unblemished excellence, in brilliant radiance, in a spotless beauty of character like the transparency that is within a crystal. It is being honest to oneself by being willing to see where one may have impure motives, impure thoughts and deeds, and then to gradually purify oneself from them. Whenever weakness and imperfection of the temporal world surfaces in one's character, one must be willing to face it and surrender it to the divine. Purity is a state of honesty and impeccability where a person is the same inside and outside, never deceiving either oneself or others, allowing no room for artificiality or illusion. Purity is a state of original truth where no violence is committed against others, or believing that violence can be committed against oneself. When the self of each person is in its original purity, others cannot damage or destroy it, even if they try, because there is a natural aura of protection that acts as an invisible barrier. Once purity is established, much is accomplished in one's inner life and outer life. All those who aspire spiritually have seen and felt the necessity of expanding their purity as they intuitively sense that in human purity, God's highest divinity abides, and that they can accomplish anything with purity. The naturally innocent person, or even one who has developed innocence through great effort, can be sure to get the grace of God. Such a person will always be protected somehow or other without any effort on their part. The person who embodies the quality of purity has chastity of soul, a state of the spiritual nature in which the person is seen to have no corrupt habits or tendencies of the temporal world. Their inner goodness shines through in every detail of their daily life. To find real strength and be secure in the world, a person must know and embrace God's timeless standards for purity. In a world of declining standards, purity is seldom honored or pursued but is a quality of love that is paramount to one's spiritual progression. Learning how to purify one's thoughts, motives, heart, and choices is a great blessing and worth the effort. Purity implies unselfishness, loving one's brothers and sisters, and being willing to serve a greater good. It also implies honesty, being willing to see where one may have impure motives, impure thoughts and deeds, and then to gradually purify oneself from them by choosing a different course of action, knowing that whatever weakness and imperfection surfaces from within, one is willing to face it and surrender it, and persist through the weeks, months, or years that it takes to bring oneself back into alignment with one's true state of divinity, and allowing God to guide them. Purity is freedom from anything that debases, contaminates, or pollutes. Purity is using one's spiritual light in accordance with God's will, not for selfish purposes but for raising the consciousness of all. The quality of love known as purity is trusting that God is in control, and that everything will be fine, and being willing to allow the return to one's original purity and the original qualities that one was endowed with. With purity comes peace and freedom to follow the impulse from the heart, the still small voice which cannot be heard until one has eliminated the loud voice of the ego. Purity of heart is a sublime happiness that will never harm anyone, and it is the most important treasure of life. When people learn to appreciate the joy that comes from generosity, honor, compassion, and trust, they see that it's much more fulfilling than the pleasure that comes simply from grabbing what they can for themselves. They realize that their happiness can't be independent of the happiness of others. They can give one another their belongings, their time, their love, their selves, and see it not as a loss but as a mutual gain. As each individual purifies themselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, they are perfecting holiness within themselves out of their reverence for God. They understand their connection and oneness with God and realize that all that exists in the world is created to be experienced, and that each experience is, ultimately, for the glory of God. As I take my leave, it is my prayer that every person sees the good things in life and is blind to every evil. I am Archangel Gabriel. Channeled by Marlene Switless-Hoftsutana, Keeper of the Symphonies of Grace. www.therainbowscribe.com www.movingintoluminosity.com